What a great opportunity this is to have Chris and Heather here today on this podcast. And actually, it's 15 years since Unguarded was released. And what an incredible impact that has had on so many people. And I'm sure that you didn't really realize that at the time. I'm sure there were so many things going through your mind and things that you were concerned about and hoped for.
Unguarded, probably one of the scariest moments of my life. Yeah, I think Chris has always had media involved in his young life and has followed his career throughout his life. That was probably one of the first times that I felt, well, that in the book release and Unguarded were extremely scary for me for many reasons, but obviously because it was such a personal story and so much pain and beautiful moments and, just all the challenges of those years and what that reflected, and then having to put it out there for other people to see was
Terrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah.
Can I, so on that, because you'd had press really around you since you were a teenager, like a teenage boy, and cameras everywhere and interviews and writing the book that was so beautiful, like Bill Reynolds, and it must have been, and I've thought and I've wondered, they were always telling the story. And with the addiction, it was everyone was telling your story, but you. So Unguarded, was it a way for you to tell it from your side?
So I wish I could say that I was carefully crafted Unguarded. I was so raw. We were so raw at the time. When Unguarded came out, I think at the time I probably, up to that point, did 10 speaking engagements. And I've said it before, I'm glad it got me then because I think I'd tell it different today,
Yeah.
But, I've always been in a position where I feel comfortable in these situations. I mean, Bill Reynolds followed me around from the age of 15 to 16 and a half. I had an HBO documentary going on in college. I had a reality show on Fox in college.
Yeah.
So it's always been a little easier for me. I think what was nice, and although terrifying, like Heather said, I had a chance to talk about recovery. I had a chance to say the other side. For years, everybody told, like you said, everybody told my story and my trials, my tribulation. We had a chance to go on the other side of it, and that was the beauty. Unguarded kind of pulled us out of the darkness.
In the last 17 years it's your recovery journey and all of that. A look back is great, but at the time, right? Like you, at the time you're in it, you're doing it, like you said, no streaming services.
Yeah, it was like a one-time deal. Like, okay, we're going to put it out there. This is really scary.
It's going to air tonight and it's going to disappear.
Yeah, that was what was in our head. So the fact that it has lived on is amazing. And obviously that's as scary as all of that has been. And the fact that it has lived on, the beautiful part of that is I know how much it has impacted other people and other families. And that's what I'm really proud of. As hard as it is to put yourself out there, there is always to make a connection with someone and to feel that they look at your story and see some of what they're going through and have the courage to, to get better and to come out of the darkness, which is what everybody is in through addiction, and to share with other people and share how they're feeling. I think there's nothing more powerful, really.
that's what I've learned through this process is recovery it's fluid. You know, it's never stopping. It's continuously going. And the people who love you, who live through it with you, are on that same journey.
Yes.
So
yeah, like unpredictable at that time.
Very.
To be able to have that insight. But the beauty of your recovery is your family's foundation is built on recovery, and you offered recovery as a foundation to the whole world as a family, which didn't exist before. They were just siloed. Families dealt with it in silo, like spouses, and you really brought that message of unity and recovery to the world.
I don't feel like in early recovery it was celebrated. I did still feel like it was a dirty secret that like Chris was getting better, but it wasn't something to be celebrated. It wasn't like we were all, you know, as a family coming out and having other people to talk about it with. I mean, you would have it, you know, I did try Al-Anon at some point. I had my own therapy, but I don't think you had that, what I believe we've really been able to create with the community at Herren Wellness is there's a joy in recovery now that did not feel existed at any of the treatment centers that Chris, you know, was going through and that I was a part of. I didn't feel like it was something where I was like, wow, I'm watching another family like really enjoy life. And it was kind of still this like, he is doing that and I'm here. You know, it was siloed. It wasn't a family, as much as it's a family disease, it wasn't a family process in how we recovered. And that I took a back seat in that process. Largely, I felt like a lot of times I was envious of Chris's community that he had. And I felt behind in my own recovery. And it took a while for me to realize that that I really needed my own people and my own identity to process what we had gone through as a family.
I think that is so important, and this message like today is so important because in early recovery, families, you can't help but feel, you know, it's worried, scared, holding your breath. And I think that's probably, even though we sell it, we introduce the joy so early at Herren Wellness. Like we start off with that with our families.
Yeah.
We start off with, this is something to be incredibly proud of, to be grateful for, and we're going to help you see the light, so to speak. So we introduce it early, but people don't, like you said, you know, families are still at Herren Wellness. They're not in the program all day, every day. And so they're getting pieces of that community. But I think that's so important to acknowledge that.
You know, I look back and treatment to me was like a punishment, right? That's how I looked at it. Like, oh, I'm put in a timeout. And I'll never forget that drive from Fall River Detox to New York. And
I won't either.
Totally. But what I remember so vividly is us stepping out. Like, this is a beautiful day. And then they put the brakes on her and said, you're not welcome in here. And she had to get right back in the car and go.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do that to a family.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
So as Heather touched on, you know, our experience and what we've gone through, we've used that at Herren Wellness. And, you know, I think one of our greatest accomplishments is our family work, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Heather, you went back, you got your master's in education and family counseling. Was that prior to, at what point did you do that?
Oh gosh.
She needed it.
Yeah.
It was almost like you went to school to learn,
know,
because there wasn't anything else.
Did. No, that was a really important time. Drew was only like 2-3 years old when I went back to school. And obviously I hadn't been back to school in a while. I had finished undergrad many years before that. Well, not many years, but a good amount of time. So I think for me, it was a little bit of, it was both personal and I think thinking along like what my career, what felt like it was going to be aligned with what I wanted to do. But I think on a personal level, it was a time for me to kind of like get back to myself, you know. I think getting stronger personally, like without, you know, being in the guise of what Chris was doing. It was about myself. And that was a lot of what the work I needed to do was like finding my, you know, being a mom, I think you can lose your identity to begin with. But then on top of, you know, having a family member that, you know, having your husband in active addiction and then in recovery, I really didn't realize how much identity, my own identity that I had lost in that. And that, you know, it really took a while for me to remember who I was before all of this. Because again, everything did happen. I have known Chris since we were 15 years old. Even
That's
younger.
wrong. Yeah.
Okay, I'm nervous.
She's
Yeah.
like 3
Seventh
years.
grade.
She's
No,
like 3
we were
years off.
seventh
So
grade.
13?
It was seventh grade
grade.
summer. It was seventh grade summer. I don't know why I said 15. I'm sorry. Seventh grade summer. But I have known him my whole life. But we were young. We were so young throughout what we faced. We were, you know, we were only, you know, 22, 23, having children, moving all over the world. So we lost time in that. Like we lost space.
Yeah.
Like it was like having to remember who you were before all of that, because it was like a runaway train in so many ways, you know?
With active addiction.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you add so much. You've got MBA,
Yeah.
professional basketball,
Yeah.
press,
Yeah.
media,
Yeah.
addiction,
Yeah.
children. You guys are like heroes.
Yeah, it was scary. You know, and again, I lived in that world from, you know, obviously I had my battles in college, but when I jumped into opiates, that was my little silo that she was not in. And I worked incredibly hard to keep that my secret. So, you know, we were in Turkey. I was in Turkey when it all came out, you know, so she was 5,000 miles away and she figured it out.
All the times, I think it's very easy now to look back and say there were so many red flags and so many times where we could have pulled back. I think we tried to fix a lot of the things that were going on by saying, and the beauty of his career was that we could move and change and have a new beginning, which we thought was a new beginning, but really it wasn't.
Well, there was no roadmap for recovery either. There was no roadmap on, it's like you just think, okay, we're going to do this and it's going to get better. And we're going to do, and so many, and families do that to this day, even with all the education and resources out there. You want to try,
You want to believe.
you kind of look at it like try everything because as like you said, people look at treatment as a punishment
Absolutely.
instead of a gift.
But again, to go back, you know, between the age of 20 and 23, I was making decisions and leading with addiction, and she didn't know. You know, like when it was time to go to Italy, I was like, great change, new environment, having no idea that I was taking an extreme amount of OxyContin at the time. So, you know, as we were going through that process as a family, both of our lives looked very differently. You know, she was this amazing young mom raising a family. Her husband's a professional basketball player, but, you know, suffering from a massive addiction in secrecy.
And people will say, you stayed with him. That's a common, Heather stayed with Chris. And sometimes people use it to, they use it to I don't know, maybe not justify, but as a way to be accountable. Like Heather stayed with Chris, and I remember asking you about that. And because you knew him when he was young, because you guys knew each other since you were really young, you knew him. You knew him prior to addiction.
Yeah, I think I am always uncomfortable with that at times, because I think there are times that it may be a better decision for that person to leave their loved one. And that is their individual, they have to make that decision. I mean, there's so many sets of, scenarios and things that are going on, and the internal system is so different for every family.
We talked about Chris's hug on one of our podcasts, that he has like the greatest hug. You have the greatest smile. I remember meeting you at Alex and Ani's event on Newberry Street. They made bracelets for the Herren Project.
I remember
and there
that.
was an event, and it was like your smile. I was so like, oh my God, Heather Herren. Saturday night, my kids spent some time with you, and this is the Mom, oh my God, Heather. Like unbelievable, like beautiful and genuine. And so
Yeah, no, that's
it's true. People meet you, and I'll say, just wait. I'll say, they'll get a hug from Chris and be like, oh my God, he's amazing. And I'll say, wait till you meet Heather.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's been the story of my...
He's sick of hearing that.
No. But it's very powerful. Like, I love when I do a community event and someone raises their hand and says thank you. But it's always followed by, like, I would love to hear Heather's side of this. And she has her side. And, we've been through, obviously, a lot. And, we were young, addiction, losing our mother. And we've managed our way through it, and recovery's kind of been the lead blocker for us in this process.
Right.
If we didn't have that foundation of recovery, if she didn't find her own community and connection through this process, I don't know if we would have been able to make it through this process.
I think that's what makes it so
at the end
special.
of the day, Chris and our friendship from that young of an age, I mean, we would be on the phone until my dad would get on the phone and say, time to get off the phone, Heather, at like 13 years old. But we always had that. We always had that friendship. More than anything else, really. It was, I knew he had my back, even when he was sick. And I think he always felt the same way.
Yeah.
That we have gone through a lot, but I think at the end of the day, the person, he's the most genuine, loving person that I know, that I'll ever know. And he was meant to do what he's doing, and his ability to connect with others is like nothing I've ever seen before. So I feel it so wholeheartedly that he is meant to do this work. I think I reluctantly come along on this ride at times because I am more private. I do struggle a little bit more with being as vulnerable at times. And I know there's times Jenny will ask me, like, you should, you could do a speaking event, and that, it's definitely fear. I know I probably could. I know it would help others, and that's probably why I should push myself at times more. But there is that side of me that I think innately is more of a private person. And I think we try to carve out that private time because we have always been so public and because our story is so known, that I think that our private time is sacred.
And I think that from the in the beginning, the privacy and protecting the kids and you being more private, but it's all, if you look at the last 17 years, that's a story in itself. And what you have done together as a married couple, as a team, you have Herren Talks together. You started Herren Project, your 501c foundation. You founded Herren Wellness. And as someone that works with you guys, like as business partners, I don't know another couple that could probably do it. I mean, when people meet you, it's very evident the bond, the relationship, and the unending love and respect that you have for each other. And I think people feel that the minute they see you together, the minute they're with you. And you're fun, you're serious, you're
Not always serious.
not
thank
always
God.
serious. It's just very special, and I think that in itself is a documentary. To be honest with you, like that in itself is the story of recovery.
Everything that we've gone through, that's one of the most beautiful things, is that I think because we've gone through so much, that there's really nothing that we feel like we can't face. We've done so much together and have gotten through so many difficult times and, really big challenges.
But I do think it's important. I think it's important to say, and I've mentioned this before, that I had to, throughout this whole process, continue to get better, right? Like I, although sober, I still needed to get better. And over the last couple of years, we've done an incredible amount of work around that. And, I think what I'm so proud of in all of this, obviously, we've been married for 27 years, 3 beautiful kids, successful professionally, but helped out so many. And, the fact that there's thousands and thousands of people out there that can say our story made a difference in their life. Like that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's something that was unexpected.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that was not the intention.
Right.
That was not the intention, but it became that. And but also the process of being extremely sick and not having access to treatment. Not having the funding, the resources. We were there, Herren Project.
Yeah.
Then Herren Wellness.
Yeah.
How we went through this as a family it's been a reflection there of like, we're going to fill the gaps and we're going to use our story to fill the gaps. And that's what's so beautiful about that.
I think me seeing families like through the eyes of what we've, like at Herren Wellness, what I've witnessed there and watching a family recover, I think has taught me a lot and has given me a deeper respect of what we have gone through.
Yes, for sure.
I think I tend to just, when we move forward, you just live life. You're raising your kids, you're working, you're doing life. But I think it's allowed me to look back. And I think Chris has more times to have that reflectiveness because he does so much. He does speaking and podcasts and, he shares his story and I don't as much. So I think through watching other families recover and watching them find that joy again, I think it has allowed me to really respect what we've done as a family.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and I really never looked at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
That, you're celebrating this process through others,
Yes.
and that's special. I'm 17 years sober and I could cry my eyes out right now, so the pain is still close. Although we have 17 years away from it, it's still like right there.
Yeah.
So to sit down with Heather and talk about this, it's it's beautiful. It's like a moment for me that we finally got to the point where we can do this out in front.
Yeah.
I look back on it and I remember those times. I remember when Heather was saying that there was some envy and jealousy to recovery, you know, because I had my meetings and I had my little tribe of men and women that I grew up with. And I think that's what's been so unique at Herren Wellness is that we don't want families to feel like they're behind.
That's right.
You know, we want them to kind of hit the ground running. And when we started this, all the three of us, I mean, that was the focus. The focus was getting the family excited, get them involved, get them proud of this whole process. And the fact that we could have moms go home and get the kids off a school bus, you know, the fact that we can have families reconnect for a night and then come back and process. Those are all things I think that contributed to people struggling and continue to struggle.
Yeah, they have to make a choice. We had that one gentleman whose son was getting married and would not have chosen treatment. And we had our person there with a tux on, and he got to watch his son get married and, you know, stay for the blessing and the toast and all that. And I do like that because of the look back and the perspective and the insight, we can do all of these things at Herren Wellness, that we have the freedom to be able to, like you said, forecast like
ahead.
Yeah. This is going to be really helpful for them to go to the
absolutely.
lacrosse game, to
Yeah.
go to a play, get your kids
And it's
on
a
the bus.
fine line, right, between wanting to give someone, it's like wants versus needs. You
Very
know?
true. Yes.
And that's a
Very
really
fine line. Yes, it is.
between like what is going to serve recovery and what is going to serve the disease.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and being able to, I think, when it is expressed in a way like that's why we're making the decisions we're making. That's why your life coach might not want you to go for a family visit. It's not punitive, and it
Right.
shouldn't be punitive.
Right.
It's never about
it's not
punishment.
the rule.
It's not a punishment.
right.
It's about foreseeing and the gift of what is going to, you know, really give you the best shot, because it does take time, obviously, as we know.
You know, but what I've learned too in this process together, and what I like to get across to people, and again, the first 15 years, I was like, this is easy. And then it wasn't. Not that I lost respect, but I forgot how fragile recovery can be. And if you're not holding it the way you're supposed to hold it, you know, there's cracks. And, you know, the other thing too, like, I wish it wasn't so fluid. I wish, like, you know, for years I thought like our family, like, it started August 1st, 2008, you know, like, that's what I leaned into for years, like August 1st, 2008. And there's, to me, what I've gone through with my kids, with Heather, with this whole process is, you know, there's a new sobriety date every day in a lot of ways, you know, and don't get comfortable with August 1st,
That's
2008.
right. Yes.
Because it gets different, you know, and reintroducing this process through to our children and discussing it openly as a family and working through the process, that's like, we're not out in front. Like, we're part of it.
Yes.
You know? Like,
Yes.
as much as we talk about this, like, we know what we're talking about, there is this, we're still on that bus.
Yeah.
You know, and we're still trying
And
to...
always will be.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah.
that's
But
what you realize. It like you said before, it is fluid, and it's not a beginning and an end. And I
No.
think when you do discuss, you know, because especially for us, like, there was a story, there was a documentary, like, it's beginning and then it's over. It's not. I mean, we're still on like a path of like discovering new things, but I think that's also what's beautiful too. Is
Absolutely.
like that's where like they say the gifts of
Yes.
recovery, like I do still feel
Yeah.
like we're still receiving those gifts of recovery.
Forever and through the different stages.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
my own, like the kids
Yeah.
little, being
Yes.
sober mom when
Yeah.
they're little, and then older, and now in their 20s,
Yeah.
and
It's different perspectives.
and other things are coming down the path,
Yeah.
and maybe not all good.
Yeah.
So it is fluid, and it is, like you said, I've had those fragile times,
Moments, yeah.
long times,
Yeah.
very long times
Yeah.
Yeah.
in recovery.
Yeah.
And it's about what do we do with it? And
Yeah.
it's the work, and
Yep.
it's therapy, and it's like getting past it.
And I
And
think
you guys have done that.
I think that's what I would like people to see. Not August 1st, 2008, and life is, is beautiful. Like you have to compete in
Yes.
this process.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if you give up, if you lose the desire to compete, personally,
Yep.
I lose. And I realized that after 15 years, it's like get back in it.
Yeah.
And
We never
because,
spiked the ball.
Yeah.
because there's not a touchdown, the game doesn't end.
Right.
The season isn't over.
Yep.
And I think we've learned that the hard way in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I
and-
certainly learned it the hard way.
Sure.
And I can get
Certainly
really
learned it the
comfortable
hard
in
way.
just, that's where Chris is really good for me, because I think he does pull me. He's like the trailblazer for me in a lot of ways. Like he, I think, reminds me that, it's okay for me to share more, and share more of myself. And because I think I can sometimes get very comfortable with not competing
Yeah.
as much as
You
too.
compete every day of your life with everything.
There's so much joy. There's so much joy, right? And I think we are both very well aware of we're in recovery because we've been able to give a lot of it away.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Just
think,
like it was given to us.
and I think that's kind of always been the cornerstone of our process. Is that
Absolutely.
we're going to keep giving it, and because we've received so much because of it. But again, I look back, 15 years ago, we sat down as a family, and it was hard. It was hard, and it's still hard, right? And I hope so. I hope it stays hard for me. Like people could look at this and say, "Wow, he's kind of emotional, like fragile." I hope I stay fragile.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Because that means I'm working.
Yes.
But to see the growth and see the impact of two 30-year-old parents who just battled through addiction, to put it all out there,
Yeah.
to give it away, to get so much back. The Mullins, John Hawk, there's nothing in my life that I don't have because of them, and we've kind of lived our life that way, is let's give it. And she's allowed it, she's allowed that process to take place and be fluid over 17 years. So she's brave, she's courageous. She allows me to be vulnerable and tell our story. And she picks up the pieces, and she's always done that since day one. So
No, I love you both so
love you.
much.
I love you too.
So much respect
love
and
you.
bravest people I've ever known.
No.